you need to rank and prioritize your referral sources. You need to have a plan. It's so complex, honestly, that people really don't even think about it clearly at all.
Jeff Tockman, owner of the Referral Navigator, helping businesses get more referrals.
So what makes a good source of introductions and what makes a good source of referrals? You can imagine creating a spreadsheet for yourself where you'd have a list of different factors in order to judge a referral source. And then what do we do to get them to give referrals? Make a list of 10 good questions to ask them to find out their strengths and goals and concerns and who they know. Make a list of 2 different stories where you got a referral and a story where you gave a referral.
Most people don't put as much time into the referral.
I'll give you 5 steps, a roadmap to follow for a conversation, whether you just met that person or you've known them for 50 years.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ERC podcast, where we help small businesses save on indirect spend or help them grow. We're honored to have our guest of honor, Jeff Tockman, owner of the Referral Navigator. Jeff is a business development consultant, helping businesses and business owners get more referrals for their business and grow their top line. And Jeff, anything else I may have missed in your intro?
Well, you didn't mention how good looking I am.
That one's obvious. So I wasn't sure if I needed to state that. Which is one of the tips, right? For referring, nurturing referrals and how to get good referrers into a good stance. Maybe we jump into that just because it's top of mind there. I've known you for a few months, and I've listened to and worked with you over the last few months. I've learned that the power of the referring agent is huge. It could be a lead into 3 or 4 clients. So what makes a good referral agent, and then how can someone nurture a referral agent?
Really 2 great questions right off the bat. We'll take them one at a time then. So there are a lot of factors that people sort of, when they hear them, they go, oh yeah, that makes sense, but they don't think about them as carefully in such an organized fashion as they should. So in my view, you can imagine creating a spreadsheet for yourself where you'd have a list of different factors that you could use in order to judge a referral source. And when we say referral source, let's be a little bit more specific. If we can use the difference between a referral and an introduction. So let's say, for example, you, Joe, doing expense reduction, a good prospective client for you, a good referral for you would be a business that has millions of dollars of expenses, especially if they're open to the idea that someone could help them lower those expenses. So John Doe, who owns a big company, who has millions of dollars in expenses, that would be a good referral for you. And then someone that might be a good introduction for you that's not a referral might be someone like, I don't know, a business attorney or a CPA that has a lot of business owner clients. CPA is good because they would be able to see the profitability pretty quickly right on the page and could be a good referral source. Other types of maybe fractional CFOs, for example, could be a good referral source potentially for you because they have multiple clients and they really know those clients very well. So someone that makes an introduction for you might just be introducing you to a lawyer or a CPA or a fractional CFO. Someone who makes a referral for you might be introducing you to John Doe, the business owner. So what makes a good source of introductions and what makes a good source of referrals? Similar factors. One, you'd want to consider the level of trust between you and this person. So if you're looking at Jane Doe as a referral source, maybe give her a grade sort of in your brain pretty quickly on a scale of 0 to 10. Where does she rate? 10 would be you trust each other with your lives and you give each other passwords to your accounts. And a 0 would be you think that you're trying to hurt each other, essentially. You're afraid of each other. So where on the scale there? That's one factor. 2 would be how many people does Jane know? Because if she knows a ton of business owners and a ton of attorneys and a ton of CPAs and a ton of fractional CFOs, the quantity of the people that she knows is an important factor. So maybe judge her subjectively compared to other people on a scale of 1 to 10 there. Number 3, you might consider the quality of the people that Jane knows. So if she knows bigger businesses that are open people and that she has, good relationships and people that are open to speaking with you and getting their expenses reduced, that would be high quality for you. But if she knows business owners that are very small and have very low expenses and aren't very open people, that would be very low quality of people for you. So the quality of who she knows as referrals and introductions would be number 3. Number 4, probably the most important factor, would be her motivation to refer. What's in it for her from her perspective? Most people would say, well, Jane's motivation to refer me is I'm going to do a good job for the client. But I would say that's actually our 5th factor, which we'll get to in a moment, which is justification to refer. Motivation is actually more important. What does Jane think that she would get? What does she want from you? Does she want referrals back? Does she want introductions? Does she want to be invited to events? Does she want to be given gifts or paid for the referrals, or wants you to hire her for her products or services? Does she want information? Does she want you to enhance her reputation or treat her especially kindly or respect her personality style? So what's in it for her from her perspective? If she's highly motivated, she wants all of those things really badly from you, then she's a 10. If she doesn't want any of those things from you and therefore isn't really motivated, she's not going to be a good referral source and a 0. The next, as I mentioned already, is justification to refer. And that's sort of the matchmaker's perspective. Jane is thinking, wait a minute, if I connect Joe to this person, what's the benefit for both of them? If Joe can make money and provide his service, and the business owner can save money because that's what Joe provides, and is open to having this sort of shared savings relationship, then in her mind, it's a really good match. But if she thinks the business owner doesn't want that, or that Joe can't provide that, then she doesn't have a lot of justification. So we're judging from her perspective, what's the justification to refer on a scale of 1 to 10? That would be the next factor. Another one would be her level of influence. If Jane is the kind of person that says jump and people say how high, well, then she's got a lot of influence. People do what she says to do, what she suggests. If, on the other hand, she says jump and people say, no, I'm not jumping for you, Jane, people won't do what she says, then she has a low level of influence and therefore probably not as good of a referral or introduction source. Next one would be her experiences. If she's had a lot of great experiences making referrals and introductions, rank her higher. If she's had no good experiences or very few good experiences making good referrals and introductions for you or anybody else, she's probably not as much of a good referral source, although that one could change. You could be the first one that she refers a lot, but probably not. People who are good referral sources tend to be continuously good referral sources. And then you'd think about her feelings, emotions. What are her beliefs about it? Does she feel happy and joyful and excited and energetic about giving referrals and she's a 10 out of 10? Or she feels sadness, anger, fear, disgust, regret, anxiety, conflict, feels like it would be, a waste of time, waste of money, and feels really negatively about it. Her emotions are bad. Then she'd be a 0. Next one would be the perceptions, weighing the pros and cons, the costs and benefits, the risks and rewards. If the way Jane sees giving referrals or introductions to you is all pros and benefits and rewards, then she's a 10. But if she sees the opposite, she sees all cons and risks and costs, and it's all negative, and she's not going to be a good referral source. So 0 out of 10. And then the last one of the 10 factors would be her skill. If she's got the gift of gab and she's very social and very smart and savvy and knows what to say and when to say it and how to say it and what expectations to set and who to introduce at the right time to the right people, she's a 10. But other side of the spectrum, she'd be kind of dumb, doesn't know what to say, makes mistakes, sticks her foot in her mouth, sets the wrong expectations, introduces you to the wrong people at the wrong time, and basically messes it all up. So if you add up all of those factors on a scale of 0 to 10, then your total score for Jane will be somewhere between 0 and 100. Now, you might not go through that exercise in detail for every one of your people, hundreds of people that you might know, but you might go through that exercise for your top 10 people and kind of take a closer look at them. So those would be factors that we use in order to judge someone, if you will, without being judgmental people. We want to make good judgments because this is business. And really what it comes down to is how much time we would decide to invest into Jane. Now, your other part of your question, I think, was how do we judge a referral source? And then what do we do to get them to give referrals? And that was a little bit built in when I mentioned the motivation. So I'll repeat that one again. What should we do with Jane if we decide that she's an important referral source? What should we do? Well, I would say number one, ask her a lot more questions because we probably don't know everything about her strengths, her background, her skills, her personal life, the groups and organizations that she's a part of, her friends, her family, her pets, her goals and concerns in life and in business. We probably don't know about all the business connections that she has. She might have employees or employers or investors or vendors or board members, people that she refers business to or gets referrals from. So sharing information with her about those things and asking her to share, that's number one, I would say, on the to-do list. Number two on the to-do list, I already covered, which is do things to motivate her. Worth repeating because they're so important. Refer her, introduce her, invite her, give her gifts, pay her, hire her, give her information, enhance her reputation, treat her kindly, and respect her personality. Do those things in a specific way for her. That would be number two on the to-do list. And then number three, I think, is also powerful, which is the idea of sharing referral stories. Tell her a story about a referral you gave. She'll tell you a story about a referral she gave. Tell her a story about a referral you got. She does the same. You tell her a story about an introduction you made and an introduction you received. And now you're already telling each other 4 stories each. That's 8 stories. And through that process, you'll get to know her personality a little bit better and be able to judge a lot of those factors that I mentioned, like her perceptions and beliefs and experiences and skill and influence through the stories that she tells you. Boy, that was a long answer to your question.
No, it was one of those things that's like, you only gave me the, hey, I'm going to compliment Jeff. And then it sparked the compliment is one of the ways that it can influence the referral, but it's one of many. And not only start complimenting and going through trying to, to nurture every potential referral source, but then use the criteria that you mentioned earlier to know where you put your time and energy in order to nurture these potentially 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
Let me go a little deeper. I mentioned one of the things to do to motivate Jane, who is your referral source, would be respect her personality. And that, I think, is worth delving into for a moment. In a very simplistic way, and I'm not a licensed psychotherapist or anything like that, but if we can analyze Jane's personality a little bit, we might be able to decide what to do with her in order to get her to be a better referral source. So I'll give you 4 examples. Let's say Jane, in making decisions, is very slow and she's very warm person, thinking about or feeling, emotions and relationships. Then we would put her in the category of an amiable person, slow and warm, and we got to make her feel safe. And if we don't make her feel safe, probably not going to give us referrals. So that's one, make an amiable, feel safe. Number 2, if she's fast in decision-making and communication, and she's still warm, relationships, feelings, emotions, then she would be what I call an expressive person. And we'd want to recognize her, make her feel unique. And if you don't make her feel unique and recognized, she's probably not going to give you so many referrals. The third personality style would be analytic, someone who's slow in decision-making and more cool, not so much feelings and emotions and relations, but more facts and figures and details. That person's slow and cool is an analytic person, and they want to take their time, go through the information, and make the right decision. So you have to give them their time, maybe give them some of that information they need to make that decision, and acknowledge when they've made the right decision. And if you don't do that, then they're not going to give you referrals. And then the last personality style in the quadrants is someone who's very fast in decision making and communication, very cool, so facts and figures and details, and we'll call that person a driver. The driver wants to think they're in control. So if you go too slowly, or you're too warm and fuzzy with them, or you try to wrestle control away from them in their decision making, then they're not going to give you referrals. So if they're amiable, make them feel safe. If they're expressive, make them feel understood. If they're an analytic, help them think they got it right. And if they're a driver, help them think they're in control. And if you don't, you won't get referrals. So that's a little bit more in depth on that 10th thing that I listed as a way to motivate Jane Doe. Now, for me, I was making the joke earlier about, me being good looking. People giving me compliments, that's not really going to do it, because I'm not an expressive person. I'm an analytic person. I'm in that third quadrant, slow, cool, facts and figures. So me taking the time to get something right and someone saying that's right, I don't need a pat on the back. I just need an acknowledgement that what I've gone through and decided is correct as that personality style. So another piece of advice around that is, if anyone listening to this, if you don't know your own personality style, it's going to be really hard for you to relate to Jane, your referral source, because you're not even going to know where you are on that spectrum, let alone where she is. So self-awareness is important for any psychotherapist would tell you that, and trying your best to do, some awareness, have some awareness of the person that's your best referral source in addition to that.
Excellent. Two things came to mind there, Jeff. One is, I would think that most people who are out there in the business world don't put as much time into the referral world. They may come to training into feeding your pipeline and nurturing your current clientele. So getting this information from you could be overwhelming at first. Would you say tips besides spending more time with you to repeat it, to kind of sit into each one of these in a different over time, to read certain books? Like how can someone get more up to speed? You're obviously a guru here, but for someone who's coming from zero, what's usually a traditional path that you recommend?
Start small, one step at a time, or maybe sort of 3 parallel things right in the beginning. If you are listening to this, in the audience, and you're thinking, boy, I don't really have a referral strategy. I don't have any referral tools. I don't have a referral system. And all those things that Jeff said sound like a lot. And how am I going to figure this all out for so many people? Well, then let's back off a little. Let's start small. Let's say someone listening to this, maybe make a list of 10 people that you think might be good referral sources. Just make a list of 10, and then make a list of 10 good questions to ask them to find out the things that I went through before about their strengths and goals and concerns and who they know, and things about motivation and justification to refer. Just come up with some nice open-ended questions, make a list of 10 questions to ask to find out those things. And then maybe make a list of 2 different stories, a story where you got a referral and a story where you gave a referral. Put those in writing, have the names and the details all worked out, where all 3 parties really benefited, right? The referral source, the referral recipient, and the referral, the prospective client. All 3 characters were very happy. They all got some win from doing that. And put those 2 stories from your background, from your experience in writing. And now you've got a list of 10 people. You've got a list of 10 things to ask people. You've got a list of a few stories in writing, and then go forward with there. Putting that together, that might only take you an hour, 2 hours maybe, to put that together in writing for yourself. And that's doable. That's doable this week or this weekend, right? Like, just, you got to start somewhere. So start with a shorter list of people, short list of questions, couple of stories, and then see if you can build on top by going back to some of the longer lists of things that I thought were important to think about in terms of judging a referral source and things to do for referral sources, and personality style. That got a little sophisticated there, to be honest. That's like graduate level stuff for someone to really understand their referral source's personality style. So that might be a little bit, biting off more than you can chew. But making a list of 10 people, making a list of 10 questions, making a list of 2 stories to tell, that's someone that, the high school grad could probably do that on their first day on the job. So everyone out there can probably do all three of those things.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I think the analogy that comes to mind is anybody who tries to pick up golf for the first time. You got to think about your stance, and you got to think about your chest rotating. You got to think about the grip, and you got to think about which club to use. So you've got 16 different factors to be thinking about just to hit the ball. So here's you're trying to do amazing with your referral strategy and execution, but you're thinking, first identifying, then logging, then when you're speaking with someone, which personality style they have, how do I tailor that, what info I should share. And if I think what you're saying is, if you take it a step at a time, maybe you start with identifying the folks, that's already, and you have a system for it, that's already a win. And then once you have that kind of under your belt, then you can start thinking about the content you want to bring, or the analysis on the personalities once you get more of those reps under your belt.
Yeah, and don't forget with golf, you got to think about like what kind of shoes you're going to wear and what kind of pants you're going to wear and which sunglasses you're going to pick. There's a lot to think about. Yes, same thing with referrals. It's interesting, the perspective I'd add there with the complexity of it, if you want to go the other direction, like how complex could this be? Well, again, back to psychology, just one person's psychoanalysis for one person is complex. And then if you get into, what they might think of as like couples therapy, where you're talking about two people's psychology, that's really complex. Every referral is three people. It's the relationship of each person to two others.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's so complex, honestly, that people really don't even think about it clearly at all. So it can get complex really quickly.
Thanks. Is there kind of not a cheat code, but maybe a catalyst to help move things along where, yes, you're thinking about who your referrals are and how to motivate them, but is the one thing, I mean, for me, it comes to mind is you start giving referrals. Like once you start the flow, now people get excited about giving referrals back. Is that kind of like what one of the best ones besides hiring them, or doing the other strategies you had mentioned?
Yeah, maybe some steps to follow might be helpful in any conversation. So I'll give you 5 steps. One is to think about, thumbs up, first one, strengths. So if you're talking to Jane Doe as your referral source, talk about your strengths very briefly, very, very, very briefly, your strengths, like a sentence, 2. And then let her talk for 3, 4, or 10 paragraphs about her strengths and ask questions. One of the good questions to ask in that step is what I call the hook question. It's the who and what they like about you. So, Joe, if I know that you're a golfer, I might say, who's someone that you play golf with and what do they like about you? If I know you're part of the XYZ organization, I might say, well, who's someone in the XYZ organization that you respect and what do they appreciate about what you've contributed to that organization? So it's just a variation on the theme of who and what they like about you. That's really good to do in step number 1. Share your strengths very, very briefly. Did I say that before? And then let them elaborate on their strengths and the people that appreciate them. People like talking about their own strengths in general, especially the expressive people in the 4 quadrants we talked about before. But really anybody would want to tell you about their strengths. So that would be step number 1. Thumbs up, talk about strengths. If you're pointing towards goals, you're usually going to use this finger. So if that helps you to remember, what are their goals? You share a goal that you have very, very, very briefly, right? Be very concise, 1, maybe 2 sentences, and let them tell you about their goals, personal goals, business goals, short-term goals, long-term goals. And don't just make it the goals that are related to your product or service. For you, for example, I don't want you to just ask someone about their goals to be more profitable by lowering expenses. That's self-serving because that's your product area. But instead, just big picture. What's their vision of success 10 years from now? What are the 5 things on their bucket list in life? Those kind of goals. So sharing and asking goals, that's number 2. Number 3, I won't show you, but the 3rd finger represents something really negative, right? So find out what concerns they have in life and in business. And if you're able to share concerns privately, that's not something you would do in front of a lot of people, but share a concern you have and they can share as well. Concerns, there's lots of them. Sadness, anger, fear, disgust, regret, anxiety, wasted time, wasted money, conflicts with people. Every human has some of those concerns. So share yours, find out theirs. That would be step number 3. Step number 4 would be about commitment. If you could think about the ring finger, means commitment to many people. The idea is, what are they committing to do differently? What are they planning to change? And that's a really interesting step to follow. The first 3 are pretty simple. What do you have? What are your strengths? What are your goals? What are your concerns? Those are real normal. What most people don't do is say, okay, now that I know that about you, help me understand what you're planning to change. What are you going to do differently to use that strength? Or what are you going to do differently to reach that goal? Or what are you going to do differently to address that concern? And that's a much harder question. And that'll deepen the relationship between you and Jane quite a bit if you can get to that step and think about it clearly. Then the 5th step, it's a little bit of help, like the pinky on the hand gives a little bit of help to all the other fingers. You're going to provide a little bit of help. Now, mostly Jane's going to handle this for herself, right? It's her strengths, her goals, her concerns, her plan of actions, her life. She's going to handle it, but you could provide a little bit of help. And if you learn more about the people and things that matter to her and her goals and concerns, you might be able to do some of those things for her that we mentioned earlier, like refer her to a prospect or introduce her to a professional or invite her to an event or all the other 7 things I mentioned before. And if you follow that process and you have it with you at all times, if you've got your 5 fingers with you, strengths, goals, concerns, action plan, help, now you've got a little bit more of a roadmap than most people would have going into a conversation. Reasonably easy to memorize. I know you might not memorize it in 5 seconds, but reasonably easy to memorize because you got the 5 fingers with you and you can count them out and it makes sense logically that that's a good progression. And then the help that you provide for Jane is going to feel better because you took the time to ask. A lot of people will, myself included, sometimes find out someone's goal in step number 2 and jump right in, right away to give the result. But if you slow down and you find out all of their goals and all of their concerns and everything they're going to do about it in steps 2, 3, and 4 on top of their strengths in step 1, then you'll be in a better position to actually offer them help in some way, and it'll feel better for the experience of going through those steps. So that's a little bit of a roadmap to follow for a conversation. Whether you just met that person or you've known them for 50 years, you can always go through those steps and find more.
No, it's super helpful. I feel the density of the work we're going through right now is a business section book on Barnes and Noble, and you're going through it. But it shows your expertise and the fact that this, if it were easy, everyone would do it, and it takes the commitment to do so. So on that point,
maybe we should book The Referral Navigator,
which exists today. I don't actually don't know.
It's in here.
Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't sure if it was actually published or not. All right. So with that point, I want to bring something that happened today. So I met with a general contractor, and he's building his book of business. I think it's his 3rd year in business. And yeah, he gets jobs. People are, my mother-in-law is redoing her kitchen, or there's some, new ground up work that he finds from clients, puts bids, great. And then middle of the conversation, he's like, you know what? Architects are really wonderful people for me. I'm like, why? Architects come up with the plan, but they don't build. So they go and hit their Rolodex of general contractors and give work that is ready, that is approved, that is excited, the client's ready for it. And I asked him, I was like, what are you doing to meet with more architects? He's like, I don't know. I just know this one architect from this group. I had a one-on-one with her and it went well. And I'm like, well, are you going to architect conferences or architect coffee grabs? Or he was like, no, I haven't really thought about it. So I don't know if this is like one end of the spectrum or you see it or you hear it. But when I hear that, I was like, you lived rents free in my brain of why aren't you doubling down, knowing what the type of referral agent that would be amazing for you. And you're spending your time, sourcing clients that could be smaller projects or projects you don't get, or, XYZ. Any points to talk to that?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. The different categories of professions have a whole spectrum. On one side, really easy to figure out who a good referral source would be. And on another side of the spectrum, it's really hard to figure out who a good referral source would be by category. So I'll give you an example. We'll quiz you, see if you got it. If I'm an orthodontist, who's a great referral source for me?
Dentist.
You got it. If I'm a residential mortgage broker, who's a great referral source for me?
Mortgage broker would be the realtor.
You got it. So those were easy. That's on that side of the spectrum.
Mhm.
Financial advisor, who's a really good referral source? There's the face. It's hard to say, right? Because anyone might know a wealthy person, anyone might know someone. So there are certain categories that lean themselves or lead more to a focus on COI type relationships. I know if I'm an orthodontist, I'm going to the dentist conference, right? I'm taking dentists to lunch. I'm getting donuts for dentists. Maybe that's counterintuitive because it's got sugar in there, but I'd think of something better. Healthy snacks for dentists. I don't know, something where I'm marketing myself to dentists, building relationships with dentists. And then the secondary line would be, who are the people that also work with dentists? So like someone who has like a dental service organization, or someone that sells marketing services to dentists, or someone that sells the products to dentists, someone that sells staffing to dentists. Those are all people that can refer me to my referral source. And now we're getting more advanced than most people think about. They just think, I'm an orthodontist. I want people with crooked teeth. Where am I going to go to find those people? Well, much easier to probably find people that serve as dentists and then exchange introductions to dentists and meet a lot of dentists and then get the referrals. The silly version of this is, if the goose can't introduce you to the golden egg, or you can't find the golden egg yourself, well, then just get a goose to introduce you to a better goose. And then that goose will lay the golden eggs for you, which are, in this case, the people with the crooked teeth for the orthodontist. So on the other side of the spectrum, maybe something like a wealth advisor. Some people will say, well, trust and estate attorneys are really good for financial advisors. That's not really true. Almost every trust and estate attorney would get their referrals from a financial advisor. So how many clients are they going to have that aren't already attached to a financial advisor? Close to zero. So it's this, for the young financial advisors who are new to it, it's really frustrating because they think, oh, I gave referrals to the trust and estate attorney. Why aren't they giving me referrals back? Well, I just told you why. Because they don't have any clients that aren't attached to financial advisors, with some exceptions, of course. Then people would say, well, what about CPAs? CPAs could be really good referral sources for financial advisors. There's some truth to that. But here's the problem with CPAs. A lot of people think CPAs are going to be great referral sources for them. A lot. Maybe the number one answer when you ask people what category professional is a great referral source for you. The problem is, because of that, CPAs are a little bit like Floyd Mayweather. You know how he used to duck, and weave and bob, keeping away because everybody's coming at them for referrals. If I'm a CPA, everybody thinks I'm a great referral source for them. So they're all coming to me saying, hey, let's get together for lunch and let's talk about you giving me referrals. And let me tell you how great my product or service is so you can give me referrals and I'll make you look good. And the CPAs heard it before. They've been in business for 2 days. They've heard it before. And if they've been in business for decades, they've heard it so much that they're a little bit defensive. They're like, no, I don't need to meet with you, financial advisor. I already have financial advisors. And so CPAs also, although they do correctly have access to the financial information, right? Sort of like going to the doctor, you take your pants off when you go in there. Well, when you go to your CPA, you got to show them your accounts, show them the details, the numbers, which not many people get from people except for the CPA. So they do have good information. But on the negative side, to be clear, CPAs usually have hundreds of clients. How many clients are you, Joe, going to work with this year? 10, 20, right? How many clients is your favorite CPA going to work with this year? 200, 300, 400, 500? So the quality of their relationship is actually lower, smaller than most people actually realize because they have such a high volume of clients. There are exceptions to that rule. Of course, some CPAs have a very small book of business and those could be really good referral sources, but they have high volume, smaller quality or lower quality of relationship per client because they just don't spend that much time per year, per client, per week, per day with clients. So now we're back to Okay, so now what does the financial advisor do, or someone else in a category that's hard to figure out who a great referral source would be? Well, that's where we go with what I call the love the one you're with strategy. So who does a financial advisor have to be with? Their clients. And you go back, and everybody can use clients as referral sources, but especially for those who don't have an easy COI relationship, that's obvious. Love the one you're with strategy says, all right, if I'm a financial advisor and even if I have 5 clients, let me just go really deep with them. Let me way over service them. Let me take them to lunch all the time. Let me do the, sponsor the birthday party event where take the client to their birthday lunch and let them take as many as 10 people with them. And, those kind of things where they really double, triple down on clients as referral sources if there's no real super obvious professional as referral source relationship. So again, it can be really easy for the orthodontist to figure out that the dentist is a great referral source. But going back now for another more complication, the only problem with that is, well, not the only problem, but one problem with the orthodontist getting referrals from the dentist is every other orthodontist in the whole world already figured that out too. So now the dentists are getting approached by all of the orthodontists because all the orthodontists know that the dentists are great referral sources, just like Joe figured out, and he's not even a dentist or an orthodontist. So it can be common, and therefore they need another approach. And hence the complication and the challenges of generating great referrals. It's why you need to rank and prioritize your referral sources per category and per person, why you need to have a plan of what to ask them and what to tell them. And so going back to the 3 basics again, to keep it simpler so it's not too complex, we come back to simple: make a list of people, make a list of questions to ask, make a list of a few stories to share, and start there and then build upon that.
Excellent. Excellent. I know we're coming up on time. So we have maybe a couple more. One question: if you put your full business development consultant hat on and you go to X professional services or X potential client of yours and they say, hey, Jeff, this sounds great. I feel like this takes a lot of time and energy. I am underwater servicing my clients. Is your immediate suggestion to say, hey, have you looked into delegating? Have you looked into hiring? Have you looked into quote unquote firing clients? I mean, what is one thing that you help guide? I don't know if this comes up often or not.
First, we can start with a metaphor. There was an old wise man with a long gray beard walking through the forest, and he came across a lumberjack who was swinging his axe, chopping down trees. Then he sat and watched the lumberjack for a little while, and he realized that lumberjack's tool is a little dull. That axe needs some sharpening. And he stopped the lumberjack and said, I'm an old wise man. I've got some tools here that I can use to help you to sharpen your axe. And the lumberjack said, I'm too busy chopping down these trees. Now, we all know from that metaphor, the lumberjack just made a big mistake. But if people are really willing to look in the mirror, there's a lot of people making the same mistake the lumberjack is making. They're saying they're really busy, and they are just as busy as the lumberjack is, really busy. Hard work being a lumberjack, from what I hear. They're real busy. They got life, they got family, they got obligations, they're in organizations, they got the clients, they got the operations, they got the providing the advice, they got business development, they got marketing, they have a lot. And so they are really busy. So it's not a lie of an excuse, but it is still an excuse. So functioning as an excuse, even though it's true. So look in the mirror, realize that if you are one of those people out there who's making that excuse that I don't have time to make a list of my contacts, I don't have time to make a list of questions to ask or write a few stories to share and start implementing that because I'm so busy, you're stuck. You're the lumberjack. So number one, try to fix that. And then back to your point, what can you do to save time so you're less busy? Sure, templates, tools, standard operating procedures, delegation, hiring, outsourcing. Our good friend Alan Iverson, some people call him AI. There's a lot of tools that we can use to reduce the amount of time. I just gave you a list on top of the few that you already mentioned. And also maybe you said dropping clients, right? So it depends, that financial advisor is a good one. Maybe he has some clients that are 10 million accounts and 5 million accounts and 1 million accounts. And then he's got a few that are 100,000. So yeah, dropping some clients makes sense for some types of businesses, not all. And then dropping referral sources, right? If your list of referral sources is this long and you're trying to go to lunch with every single person, if you go back to what I was sharing before about ranking referral sources, maybe dropping some referral sources I can add to the list of the things to do. And then actually having really good questions and taking notes on those answers so you can build inside that list some information about their strengths and goals and concerns and what their plan of action is and how you've helped them before and their motivations to refer and the people that they know. Taking good notes on those conversations seems like it would take longer, but it actually helps you get to the finish line faster, helps you get to a new client faster if you do a better job with those people. Planning out what you're going to tell people, the stories, rather than just winging it. Take some time to sharpen the saw and put it in writing before going out there and sharing those stories. Those are a few ideas. There's more, of course, but a few ideas when someone says, I'm busy.
Love that. I think that's good to leave with, and people can sit on that one the longest. I'll give you an opportunity, Jeff, to let folks know how to find you, connect with you, learn more about what you offer.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find. My first name is Jeff, Jeffrey, Jeffrey, or Jeff, and last name is Tockman, Tockman. And there you go. I'm the only Jeff Tockman that there is, as far as I know. I've looked far and wide, so I'm easy to find. If you do an AI search or a Google search, you're going to find me right away. Or if it's easier for you to remember, the Referral Navigator, the website's thereferralnavigator.com. It's easy to find me there. So yeah, I'm easy to find on LinkedIn or just on the web search. Easy. So if any types of professionals want to think about, coming to events, I moderate a lot of events for legal professionals and financial professionals and all types of tax professionals and insurance. So if you're a professional who might want to attend some virtual events, contact me. If you're interested in just exchanging professional introductions with me, I'm always interested in that kind of thing. You introduce me to a financial advisor and I introduce you to an attorney, and you introduce me to a CPA and I introduce you to a banker. I'm interested in those relationships. Those aren't paid by either one of us, but just something we do. And then, of course, if anybody wants more advice than they got on the podcast today, we gave them a lot, but if they want some more specialized and customized for them, or they have questions like you had such good questions today, Joe, then of course, just, email me, contact me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to talk with you and walk you through how I can help.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Joe. Great questions. Always a pleasure to talk with you, Joe.